Okay, so the next thing that's on my bullet list is the very famous Etheria strip club. I know most VTubers, if they say strip club, like they lose their entire fan base. But you know what? That's why Etheria is so special, because I think if Ethyria talked about strip clubs, we would probably lose like 1/3 of our fan base, and that's not too bad, you know? So this all happened because Millie likes to speak out of her ass, literally. For the first day or two, she would kind of be like, let's go to a strip club. You know, Millie says things that she doesn't truly really mean sometimes. So she was saying that for quite a while. She mentioned it at least like 2 or 3 times. She would be like, let's go to a strip club. Let's go to a strip club. And then, you know, she didn't actually like think it would actually happen, you know. But Nina, when you tell her, Mom, I want to do this. Mom, I want to eat this, Nina will find it, she will book it, and she will take you. One of the lunches, Nina looks at Reimu and I, and she was like, girls, how would you feel if I took all of you to a strip club? Do you think Millie would be uncomfortable? I looked at Nina, and because my face just kind of says content, I was like, let's do it. You know, it was an all-girl strip club, thankfully, because if it was all guys, I think I'd probably just like, you know, disassociate a little bit more than I did. At least I'm looking at something that's, you know, familiar. If it was an all-guy strip club, I'd be like, holy shit, what the fuck is that? You know, like, so I'd panic a little bit more. Millie didn't know that she was gonna be taken to a strip club, you know. We were just saying like, oh, we're gonna have an Etheria lunch, you know. It was about time that we were gonna go for our quote-unquote lunch. And I think some people didn't know where we were going, so, and they didn't know that it was like only Etheria. At one point, I think like Box stood up and he was about to join us. And I remember Alira just being like, it's only Etheria, it's only Etheria. I was just like, I'm sorry, my lord, I don't know if you want to come to this one. You might get cancelled. Obviously, he didn't know what was going on, so he's like, oh, I'm sorry. So we went back to playing Smash, you know, and getting beat up by Alira, so that was really funny. Rox played Smash, Etheria went to Smash. Yeah, that's right. Finally, Etheria gets the upper hand. So, as soon as we meet up with Mom like grabs Millie under her arm, and you know, they're walking super fast, and Nina seems very excited for, you know, who know what reason. And Reimu and I are just kind of giggling in the back like, hee, ha ha. And then we entered the strip club. Immediately, Millie sees like a poster of like this naked woman, and she's like, what lunch this? Oh, what's happening? You know, like she does her like weird Filipino accent every time she gets panicked. Like, what is happening? You know, like... And I'm just like laughing my ass off. Millie starts like bursting into laughter. She's like, oh my god, is this a strip club? So as soon as we enter, there's this like one of the most intimidating bodyguards I've ever seen. He had like sunglasses inside. He was wearing a suit. He didn't even say hello, you know? He saw us and he was like, yeah, these fucking... At least like one of them is a virgin, you know? I'm pretty sure he was thinking that. Like, you know, he kept looking at me. I'm just like, I'm sorry, I know I don't belong here, but I just came here for the content, you know? He sees us and he's like, ID. And I'm like already really scared. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? So I try to reach into my purse and look for my ID, and I show him. And he didn't even like say like, you know, if, you know, he didn't even really say anything after that. Like, he just let us through. We were like 3 little children following Nina, you know, because we were just like super intimidated. And, you know, Nina purposely set the time to like afternoon instead so that it would be less people. And you know what, like, Nina is so considerate. We're always like, yeah, let's go to a strip club, but like actually going to a strip club can be so scary. And so she made sure that, like, you know, it was the most vanilla experience that we could get, you know. And I'm saying that, but it was not vanilla, guys. So we finally sit down. It was fucking dark, and as expected, because we went in the afternoon, there were not a lot of people. There were like a couple guys, like old people, but that's about it. There weren't a lot of strippers, but I think like a lot of the strippers that were there probably new recruits or something, and they were kind of just practicing like dancing on the stage. So there was like this stage, and they had like poles. You know, some of the girls would go on the stage and kind of start dancing, and then eventually they'd take off their clothes, and I'd be like... You know, Nina would be trying to have a conversation with all of us, you know, just talking about like our day, and then I'd kind of be like, and then when they take off their clothes, I'd be like, And then Nina would kind of notice that. She'd be like, Enna, you're really looking. And I'm just like, I mean, there's like a pair of titties like on the corner of my eye. Like, am I supposed to ignore that? Like, I don't really see titties that often besides my own, you know? And Nina was like, have you ever seen anyone else's titties besides your own? I was like, well, I've seen my mom's and Babu's one time. After I said that, throughout the entire time we were at the strip club, Nina would just basically tally up how many more titties I saw. So like, when a new girl came on stage, Nina will look at me and be like, Anna, that's like your 4th pair of titties. And then another girl would go on stage and Nina would be like, Anna, you've seen your 5th pair of titties. How do you feel? And at some point, you know, because my mom was just like calculating how much sets of titties I've seen in that day, I was just like, okay, mom, we get it. Like by the 7th or 8th pair, like, you know, we can stop counting now. By the 10th pair of titties, I was low-key just like numb to it, and like, you know, these girls will be flashing their tits, but I'd just be kind of like, man, I'm thirsty, I want some hot water. Also, like, something that I learned is that they don't serve hot water because they make sure that the strippers are like super duper safe. They don't provide anything that's like hot so that people can't like splash water on them. So yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, and I think that was great to hear because I didn't even think that it would be kind of like used as a weapon, I guess, in a way, or like some sort of like harassment. So yeah, that was really like interesting. But yeah, I didn't have hot water the whole fucking So mom ordered some champagne because we were celebrating our 2nd year and we wanted to be like, woo, ethyria strip club, and I was just like, woo, yay. Champagne is good, but like, oh my gosh, champagne is expensive. I was just like, who's gonna pay for this? And then like, Nina looks at all of us, just like, don't worry guys, I have my graduation money, this is on me. And we all look at each other, we're like, no, I mean, like, if you're gonna be paying for this, we're gonna be paying for, like, your entire dinner. So, there's this thing called the room, okay? A private room. So what strippers do is they try to, like, convince you to, you know, take them to the private room so that they can charge you more. Yeah. And in those rooms, like, I don't know, you probably do more wild stuff. I don't want to know. I never went. I don't have the money for it. I'm sorry. You know, I can see, like, the strippers kind of going around our neighbor's table. And then our neighbors were, like, fucking middle-aged men, you know? They really seemed desensitized because we have, like, these beautiful strippers on stage, you know, flashing their titties and their butt. And these middle-aged men just didn't even look at them. I'm just like, why are you here? Like, if you just want to drink alcohol, you can just go to a bar. So another rule is you're not allowed to touch the strippers unless you pay for it, in a way where, you know, there's this thing called like contact dancing and then contactless dancing. But if you haven't really paid for like a dance, you can't like just touch them, which I think is a really good rule because obviously like we want to have boundaries. But the strippers can do whatever, like they can touch you and they can seduce you. So like I saw them like seducing these like middle-aged men and they were just like, hi, you come here often? And you know, these men literally felt like they were like super not interested. I thought like they would kind of be like, oh yes, let's go to the room immediately. But these men were just like sitting there as if they were like really bored. And I was very surprised, you know? Or maybe they were just like hiding it. I have no idea. They didn't seem as interested as I thought they would, but then eventually they even like went to the room. And I was just like, what kind of like you're really good at suppressing your expression because I could never have thought that they were interested. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, so then like the strippers, like 2 strippers, they were really cute. They came around our table. I could tell that they were old too, I'm not gonna lie. I think one of them was a senpai and the other was more of a kohai. She seemed a little bit more like, she was more eager. And that's how you could probably tell that they were like beginners. And then the senpai was a little bit more like numb to everything. Yeah, the senpai seemed more experienced because while they were like dancing on us, the senpai eventually was like, oh yeah, remember this is contactless. Don't do it unless they've paid for it. So like it really felt like she was obviously like more experienced than her. Nina paid for like each of us to have a dance. Reimu and Millie got the same stripper, like they got the kohai and I got the senpai. There was a big difference between how the kohai danced on Reimu and Millie versus how the senpai danced on me. And I was low-key just like, why do I get the senpai? Like, I don't want the more experience when I really haven't experience in talking to people. Like, how can you expect me to handle somebody who has max experience in like and something like this? I was just like, can I have the amateur one too? The kohai, she was going wild. Like in the corner of my eye, I saw like the kohai stripper, like she was like pulling Reimu's hair. You know, she was like, spread your legs and dancing in between. Like she was really touching both Reimu and Millie. Eventually, like, the kohai was even like, yeah, put your hands on my waist and stuff like that. You know, around that time, my stripper dancer was like, hey, remember, like, they didn't pay for the contact one, so, you know, don't spread yourself too thin. I think Millie's reaction was the one that surprised me the most, because I felt like Millie would have a similar reaction to me. Like, we'd be like, oh my god, what's happening? But Millie was like really positive about the experience, and I was too, but I just kind of like, you know, I'm a little bit more like meek. Millie was just like, oh my god, you're so inspiring. Like, I think it's really great that you're so confident about your body. It's very empowering as a woman. Kohai was just dancing on her like sexually and like, thank you so much. I love that you said that, because we as women have to be confident in what we're given, because there's just so much against us in this world. And I was just like, well, please help! Help! I don't care if we're women. I wanna go. There's too much. I gotta go home. I wanna play Smash with Lyra too. I'm sorry, women of the world. I love women, and you know, I love like female energy, but I gotta go. I'm sorry. And then like I look at my stripper, and my stripper's like, you're a shy girl, aren't you? I'm like, I mean, like, I don't know. I think I'm more like an anxious girl at this point. Like, low-key, I wanted Millie to have like a really flustered reaction, and I would kind of be like, ha ha ha. But I really did not expect to have like a stripper dance on me. I really thought that going into the strip club, we would watch people dance on stage, and then that's it. I did not expect strippers to be dancing on me. So like when that happened, I was just like, what the fuck? Her dance was very slow. Very like seductive, slow. It was like 2 times longer, you know. By the time the kohai was finished with Reimu and Millie, like my stripper was still fucking like, you know, putting her coochie in my face, and I was just like, okay. Like, I don't know, I was like worse than the middle-aged men, because the middle-aged men, they were still looking at their strippers, but I would not even look at my stripper in the face. I'd be like looking down, and then if there's like a crack in between my stripper's armpits, I would look through the armpit straight at Reimu or Nina, because they were sitting in front of me, and I'd just kind of like dissociate and just look at them and be like, you know, I was just like. And you know, like, I felt like the stripper maybe wanted a little bit more reaction out of me, so she was really trying. She was like, you know, tucking my hair behind my ear. She was dancing. Like, she was a very good dancer. She was like, open your legs. And I was like, I don't even do that for like, you know, I didn't do that for my first boyfriend. I didn't do that for like, you know, the second situationship boyfriend, you know, like I didn't do that for anybody. So girl, I don't know if I can do that for you. But she, you know what, to her, that's not an option. She just like opened my legs, you know, I manually, you know, she kind of just did it for me. And I was like, okay, good thing I was wearing pants, guys. I'm so happy that day I was wearing full-on jeans, okay? Good thing I didn't wear shorts or like, you know, a skirt or like, you know, a dress. Then I would have felt more vulnerable. I was wearing like hardcore denim jeans, you know, like the cowboy that I am. And you know, I just felt like there was an extra layer of protection, you know. I don't know what she was gonna do. I was like, if she's allowed to touch me and like open my legs, then I don't know, like maybe she could like fucking like, I don't know, like is she gonna like be near my coochie or something? Because like I don't know. Like, I know the boundaries for you, but I don't know if you know the boundaries for me. So like, she was dancing on me, and she was like, are you shy? And I was like, yes. And then she was dancing a lot, and she took off her bra or whatever she was wearing, and there was like these massive, at least like D-cup tits right in front of my face. Like it was touching like my nose, and I was just like, I cannot tell my father this. I wanted to eventually tell my dad like, oh my god, yeah, ha ha ha, we went to a club, and now I'm just like, damn. So like her massive titties were in my face, and I was just like, damn, what the fuck do I do? Obviously, like this was a contactless dance, so the whole time I was sitting in my chair, I had my hands like gripping the side of my chair so hard. And Nina and Reimu noticed that, and they were laughing at me. They were like, oh my god, Anna, you're like gripping the chair so hard. Like, you don't have to be that nervous. And I'm just like, no, this is contactless. I don't want to accidentally touch her and then get sued. And you know, the stripper lady like heard me, and she was like, I really appreciate how respectful you are. And I was like, oh yeah, You're welcome. Yo, while I was waiting for the time to pass with these massive tits in my face, she turns around and she takes off her underwear, and her massive D-cup butt like fucking is in my face, and then she turns around again and she's like literally like on me. I'm not really that like tall or anything. So, and she was pretty tall. So like I had this like really tall, sexy lady on me, and I just didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, I don't know what's happening. I feel like I might be crushed. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I don't know. Then this stripper lady whispers in my ear. She legit was just like, she was like, do you like sex? I looked at her and I was like, you know, without even like a second thought, I was like, I'm a virgin. Nina and Reimu heard it, and I think Babu too, and they laughed their asses off. And the stripper looked at me back, you know, still dancing, and she was like, oh, cool. And then I gave this woman a look like, okay, now you're just being judgmental. What happened to like the fucking female energy and the body positivity, and then like women, you know, being with each other, like being hello? Was that all for show? Hello, do I have to pay an extra $20 for you to be like, oh my god, that's so great that like you are saving your body for like, you know, someone that you really trust. Hello? Like, where was that energy? She looked at me and she's like, oh, cool. And I was like, you fucking bitch. Like, yeah, I know what you're thinking right now. You know, I'm a fucking VTuber. I know what you're thinking. I see it. I see it all over your face. I see it on your titties. I see it on your coochie. Like, you're saying, like, what the fuck? So then, you know, I was just like, okay, anyways, she thinks I'm a loser. But you know what? You know, I'm a loser with, like, with dignity, sort of, almost. Kind of goes behind my ear again, and she's like, are you bi? And I was just like, I'm about to say bye, you know, like, bye. Like, I'm gonna leave this strip club. You know, I don't know what I said. I really cannot remember. I was too, like, in an anxious state to remember all this and then jot it down. I think I said, like, I don't know or something. And so she whispered in my other ear, are you curious? I think because my brain was mega coping, I was just thinking about Curious George the monkey. I was like, okay, yeah, this is something that's wholesome. Yeah, yes, Curious George the monkey. I love Curious George. Yes, I used to watch it as a kid. You know, I don't know. I don't have an answer to this. I think eventually I was like, yeah, sorry, I don't really know the answers. I can't really think right now. You know, she just asked me so many questions. Like, the other Kohai, like, she didn't really ask too many questions, I think. They were just more like talking. Reimu and Millie kind of looked like they had like the time of their lives, and I looked like I was about to be like, I looked like I was about to have like a stroke. I'm not gonna lie, I was just like so this lady was just like, yeah, you're really shy, aren't you? And I think, like, I don't know why, but like strippers, when they see that you're shy, they like are really attracted to that, because eventually the Kohai stripper kind of was like touching me too, and she's like, you're a shy girl, aren't you? And I'm just like, okay, everybody, I'm just gonna put it on my forehead right now, like, don't talk to me, please. I've gotten so much attention that I've ever had in my life. I don't know, it's because they thought that I would pay more. Maybe I look rich because, like, I don't know. Even the Kohai stripper eventually, like, every time she walked by me, she would touch my shoulder and she'd be like, hi, shy girl. And I'm just like, stop calling me that. Stop calling me that. I'm not shy. I'm gonna die. Eventually, the senpai stopped dancing on me because time was up. But before that, Nina was like, hey, Anna, you should, like, you know, engage with your stripper. And then I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's contactless, so, you know, I can't touch her. Nina was like, yeah, but you can say things like, oh, you're really sexy. Like, I love the way you dance. And so, like, I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? She has a point. Like, you know, I heard, like, Reimu and Millie kind of being like, oh, my God, you know, you're so good at dancing. You're so empowering. So I wanted to be sort of like that, too, in my own way. So I looked at my stripper and I was like, you're really sexy. I was like, yeah, you're really sexy and your breasts are amazing. Also, your dancing's great. And I gave her a thumbs up. And then she was just like, thank you, I really appreciate that. And I was like, you're welcome. Nina sees all this, she's like dying. Rain was just like, and are you okay? Just like, no. And then Nina kind of reassured the stripper, because I guess maybe my reaction wasn't good enough or something, but she was like, I just want you to know that she's always like this. She definitely enjoyed it. And you know, it wasn't a lie. Like, I did enjoy the experience. I think it was very interesting, and it definitely, like, taught me a lot. It taught me that, like, I will never come back here. I mean, I feel like I was known as, like, the shy girl in the stripper club, because every single time those two passed by our table, they'd be like, hi, shy girl. Hi, shy girl. And I'm just like, what is this harassment? So this was when Nina went to the bathroom. Another stripper that kind of was like roaming around, she came to our table and she was talking to us. And I remember what Nina said. Nina was like, oh, by the way, if strippers ever come to our table and talk to you guys, it's because they're trying to like get you to pay for a dance or get you to like, you know, get them into like a room or something. So like when this stripper came to talk to us and Nina was away, I started panicking. I'm like, oh shit, she's trying to get us to like dance. Like it's gonna happen again. Her tits are even bigger than like Eve's. Like, oh my god, I'm not ready for H cup. Like goodbye. Millie and Ramo, they're like normal. So they just start talking to her like, oh yeah, like, you know, my perception of like strip clubs have really changed. Like I didn't know it was so empowering. You know, again, like positive female energy, women empowerment, all wonderful stuff to talk about, but I could not focus. I'm sorry, I just know that you're here because you want us to like, you want to dance for us and it's gonna cost money. So I literally was just like, yeah, also I have no money. And so as soon as I said that, she left. It was so funny. You know, honestly guys, I know I sound like I'm not enjoying it, but I did enjoy it. It was an experience and I'm glad I got to experience it with like people that I was comfortable with, like Babu, Remu, and Nina. I wasn't in any way like super duper uncomfortable to the point where I actually wanted to like run away. I just already by default have that sort of like reaction anyway, so that's kind of just how I am. But I can assure you that like if I were to be really uncomfortable, I would have told somebody and just left. Then there was this other stripper that kind of came by. She was really like sweet. I think she was like very introverted because she came in and she was asking like, hey, do you guys want to go to the room with me? We really liked her vibe and personality, so eventually Nina was like, hey, do you mind like if we get a dance from you? Like not in the room, but like, you know, at our table. And this girl was like, oh, sorry, I don't really do dances at the tables because I'm actually too like anxious. And you know, I didn't even know that like they could feel this way too. I didn't even know that strippers could kind of also be anxious. Like I kind of thought like if you're in this sort of like job, you're really confident, but you know, it showed me that like there's a lot of different types of people here. Oh, it's all within their boundaries. So I was honestly like, I felt very reassured in some weird way hearing that she also didn't super duper feel comfortable dancing at a public table and she would have actually preferred the room. I mean, you know, again, it could have been like a method to sort of like get people to dance in the room so it'd be like more money, but I kind of felt like based off of like her reaction and expression that she was telling the truth. I looked at her and I was like, I'm shy girl too. She was like, oh, and then after I said that, she kept looking at me. She gave me like this look as if she was really trying to like seduce me. She would have conversations with Nina mostly, but then she would kind of look over at me and be like, and I'd be like, okay, bestie, yeah, sorry, I'm not going to that room with you. I mean, you're hot and you're beautiful, and you know what? I think I vibe with your personality a little bit more than Eve, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, sorry, girl, I have no money. Also, I don't want to go to a private room where I don't have, you know, my support system with me. So yeah, she was just like, yeah, but if you want to dance in the private room, just let me know, okay? I'll be around. And then she looks at me again. And I was like, oh my god, like, damn, I might have been like the weakest link in the fucking group or something, and she probably sensed it. She probably was like, yeah, this one's a dumbass, and, you know, this one will be really easy to catch. What I learned from the strip club is that it's a lot safer than you think. Well, you know, as I guess the one that I went to was pretty safe, and Nina was telling me that there's probably ones that are even more safe and strict. A lot of these, strippers, like, you know, you kind of think like, oh my god, you are kind of like exposing yourself and you're tainting yourself, but it's not like that at all. Like, it really did change my perspective of strip clubs. You know, people obviously need to make a living, but at the same time, they know their boundaries, and it's really cool that they voice it out loud too. They're like, you know, like that girl who didn't want to dance at the public table. They even said that it was a way for them to socialize, get to know people too. You know, besides like the dancing and the taking off their clothes and dancing, they also do quite a bit of like just conversing with people. It's really nice to see that like there was an environment where people can feel comfortable with their own bodies, because all the strippers that came like onto the stage or to our table, like their bodies were all very different. There were like people with like A cups and there are people with like H cups, and I'm just like, damn, they accept everyone here. It was great. And I think like what I got out of it is that when it comes to stuff like this, we tend to have like a negative, especially if you've never kind of like went to a place like this, you tend to have sort of like a negative image of stuff like this. But honestly, at the very least, where we went, it was not negative at all. It was pretty positive. Oh no, I think Nina was talking to the bartender and saying like kind of, oh yeah, I brought like my girls here for our 2nd year anniversary and one of them is a virgin. You know, she didn't say it like that, but it was kind of like the context came. I don't really know what the context was, but you know, somebody in our group being a virgin was brought up. Basically, the people that were sitting at the bar, one of the dudes whipped their heads and they were like, somebody is a virgin? And Nina came back to our table and told us that, and I was like, why is that so like surprising? She was like, yeah, I think like people just don't expect it. Like people who probably go to strip clubs more regularly probably have friends in their circle that probably most likely statistically are not virgins. So I think they were just very surprised of that. And you know, I was just like, oh my god, I'm like a rare Pokemon. You know, like I don't know how else to express this. I felt like pretty special. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have any like shame in being a virgin. I don't really care. I don't think it's a big deal either. I think it's funny to say out loud, but I don't think it's actually a big deal. When, you know, I get reactions like that from people, I'm just like, damn, you really need to go out into the world more. It was really interesting. Like, the strip club, honestly, I did overall enjoy it. I really enjoyed spending time with ethyria. That was kind of like, obviously, the wildest moments of the strip club. But then afterwards, like, we kind of were just, like, drinking and talking. And we were talking about, like, our feelings and emotion a little bit. We got a little bit emotional towards the end because, you know, Nina not being in Niji was a really hard hit. After that, it was strangely very wholesome in a strip club. And it was just really funny, so... yeah, we had a good conversation that lasted like pretty much 2/3 of the time. And then 1/3 of the time it was, you know, the wild story that I just told you guys. So for the majority of the time, we were kind of just talking and drinking and just being ethyria. So that was my experience at the strip club. And as perspective. I know Babu and Rainbow probably already talked about it, but yeah. I just want you guys to know I represent all that are anxious, so you're welcome, everybody.